Hello, everyone, and welcome to Performance Anxiety's 31st online reading event. My name is Tom Snarsky, and I'm so excited to be with you this evening, coming at you live from a Skype call full of immense poetic talent, both our readers, our listeners, and beyond. In case you have not listened in before, Performance Anxiety is an online reading series that we host via Skype, usually on the third Thursday of every month at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. We pushed this one back a week because last Thursday I was on a plane to Oklahoma so that I could officiate my sister's wedding that weekend. The event was lovely. Mr. and Mrs. Newly Minted Callerman are currently celebrating their honeymoon in scenic South Carolina, and now I'm here very excited to hear your poems. Poems were an important part of the wedding, and they are an important part of this event, of course, tonight. At each of our events, we normally feature as many as 10 readers to share a selection of their writing with us. Having all these slots every month means we're always looking for folks who would be interested in reading. So if you are or know a poet or writer who'd be interested in sharing their work at a future event, somebody who maybe hasn't read before but is excited at the prospect, somebody whose poems you know are like 7 to 8 to 12 flame emojis and they don't have the audience they deserve, please feel free to get in touch with us. We are available via the Performance Anxiety Twitter account, which is at PerformanceANXT, or you can DM the co-organizers directly. I'm at Tom Snarsky, TomSnarsky on Twitter and Instagram, or you can just email me at tomsnarsky, same spelling, at gmail.com. You can also get in touch with Kristin Garth, Performance Anxiety's other founder and co-organizer, who I'll be very excited to introduce soon as one of our readers this evening. So to kick it off in this officially fall reading, which is really nice, I hope that the weather has been treating you all as well as it's been treating us here in Virginia. I'm excited to invite a first-time Performance Anxiety reader, and that is Lorna Rose. Lorna is a Pacific Northwest writer and speaker. Her narrative nonfiction and poetry have been recognized by PNWA and the Oregon Poetry Association, and has appeared in several magazines and anthologies. Lorna also speaks publicly on finding resilience through writing, motherhood, and her experience at AmeriCorps. For more information, you can go to www.lornarose.com, and we're really excited, Lorna, to have you here with us. Thank you for being here, and I'm excited to hear what you're going to share.
Hello. Thank you. Tom, this is an awesome thing you got going on. I'm so glad you found you guys. I'm so glad I found you guys. Lynn Schmidt is the one who told me about you. So I'm really glad she did. You know what? I was going to read some poetry tonight. I write both poetry and narrative nonfiction. I'm going to first read a piece from my work in progress, which is a memoir, if that's okay. So my memoir is about so I went from LA party girl, like the stereotypical hair and makeup and clothes, and I fantasized I was a model. I went from that to a trail worker in rural Alaska. And so that's kind of the basis for my memoir. So I would like to read an excerpt. This is me tasting local meat for the first time in Alaska. It's served by a hunter, and it was not cow. Yeah, it wasn't beef. So yeah, here we go. Alaskans possess a quiet presence that leans toward efficiency and assumes a certain self-reliance. They tend to keep to themselves unless you need something and ask for it. They may offer something once, but won't offer it again. If they want you to know something, they tell you. If they don't have anything to say, they don't say anything. Stoic and brusque, maybe, but warm-hearted, deliberate, and intelligent in ways of the land, the weather, all the survivings and threats to it. The first person to serve me a burger made from something other than cow was Jim Crabb. Jim's family was early settlers of the town of Central, a village near the end of the Steese Highway, 200 miles northwest of Fairbanks. 30 miles before the dirt road, the highway, dead ends at the Yukon River, there is Central, a village of 60 people. Those sled dogs, ATVs, and snowmobiles outnumbered the population. There was a roadhouse, a gas station, and pay showers, all of which Jim owned. He also served as the official welcoming committee when we rolled into town the first time. He was a big, friendly man, loud-voiced, and most of the time wore blue overalls. On our last night in Central, before we moved south to the next project in Kina Fjords National Park, Jim and his wife made us dinner. As I chewed my first bite of burger, something was different. The meat had a tinge of strange taste, moist and plump and a little spicy. It took me a long time to chew, and it had a wildness to it, an earthiness. The flavor was strong and full, and each bite seemed to take up my whole mouth. I liked it. When I finished, I felt as though I had just gorged on 2 or 3 burgers, yet I didn't feel sick, just full and nourished. Jim was watching us and smiling, a certain knowing in his eyes. This moose is all that's left for my kill from last fall, he said. I wanted to share it with you all as a thank you for working on our roads. It was unbecoming, eating moose meat. It was improper and uncouth. Realizing what I had just done made me sad. I had never known a hunter before, but I didn't want to think too much about hunting, about an animal suffering. I wanted to think my meat came from the grocery store, all neat and packaged and sterile. Yet I also knew better. I knew that hunting required patience and a connectedness to the animal, to the land. I had read somewhere that a traditional hunter spends more time than he is given credit for thinking about the suffering of his prey. In return, when he takes an animal, he gives thanks. Yes, eating moose was unbecoming and improper and uncouth, but it was also humbling and terribly fitting. Jim was sharing his hard work, his nourishment, the time he had spent with this animal. He was in community with us. I was filled with gratitude. All right. I will end tonight with some humor. And this is a piece that was published in Little Old Lady Comedy late last year. How to lose an appendix and gain your freedom. You wake up on Sunday morning with cramps. It feels as though a baby sloth has taken up residence in your torso and with its claws sometimes stabs your pelvic floor. Occasionally it writhes its body around, taking your unassuming interior abdominal wall with it. Fucker. Your insides feel bigger too, as though the sloth has creaked open a French door somewhere and is waiting for a party to start. After breakfast, the pain is still there. Led by instinct more than anything, you head to the ER, leaving your 2 young children in the care of your husband to set off smoke detectors or whatever it is they do when you're not around. An hour later, a CT scan reveals appendicitis, which was your hunch. You'd always had this irrational fear of appendicitis, as though your appendix would burst at the most inopportune time, like during your hike to the Grand Canyon a few years ago. Things happen quickly after that, and you've barely enough time to call your mom and your husband. The latter doesn't pick up right away, and when he does call you back, the conversation is like, they are taking out the sloth inside. Then you are wheeled away. The last thing you remember is the nurse saying you'd be given anesthesia. You wake up in recovery with a swollen belly and a huge bandage that covers your navel and then some. You are disoriented and sore and cannot get up to use the toilet by yourself. It's embarrassing. When you do go, pee keeps falling out long after you stop peeing. As you become more alert, you resign to a night of mostly no sleep, and you watch a Modern Family marathon, which makes you happy. Nurses come in and offer you jello and pudding, which you gladly accept because you're no fool. You don't even need to hide it from the kids. In the morning, your husband arrives. The kids have gone off to school and you're being discharged. The surgeon comes by and tells you about the stitched up incisions on your belly and the no big deal staple on the side of your intestine. He's kind of hot. So you're secretly waiting for him to whisper how becoming your insides looked. Instead, he announces that you had a hernia as well. Surprise! Nothing that a little nip tuck couldn't fix as long as he was in the area. This is undoubtedly from pregnancy, you think. Now you have a decent chance of getting in shape. But now you will actually need to get in shape. Thanks, Doc. When the kids see you at home after school, they want to hug your belly and name it Ned. When you lie down to nap, you feel movement inside you. But instead of a baby, the only thing that's been inside you besides the sloth, it's just angry, bitchy bowels, a vengeful colon that is protesting the removal of her shrunken pouch, her vestigial buddy. You tell them to get over it, that they don't need some useless organ cramping their style. At night, your belly gets its own pillow. Ned does best when supported and not flopping around in the dark. After a few days, you stop taking the heavy meds and cautiously start driving. Railroad tracks freak you out, but you barrel forward anyway, headstrong and brazen. At pickup at your daughter's school, people ask when you're due, and you want to punch them in the face. Except that might require more stitches to your guts. Besides, in all fairness, you are wearing borrowed maternity clothes, which are way more comfortable and fashionable than your pilly sweatpants. Over the next week, you eat soup and more soup. It's the only thing that sounds good. You enjoy chicken gnocchi, split pea, and loaded potato. Sometimes you throw in oyster crackers to mix it up a bit. Gradually, you graduate to spaghetti. Each day, you put a prescribed powdered laxative in your water. Thank God you bought all that toilet paper at the beginning of the pandemic. Your husband is doing a pretty good job at being Mr. Mom, but he wants to know when you can have sex. You want to punch him too, but again, the stitches thing. Patiently, you wait for your energy to return, the incision pain to relent, and the kids to stop wanting a ride around the house on your belly. There's no way. A booster seat, maybe, but not a ride. You think, there will come a day when Ned will be gone, when train tracks won't freak you out, when your poor belly button will stop permanently smiling at you like it's drunk. You just don't know when that day will be. Until then, you nap. Then you wake and blaze forth like a woman with nothing to lose except a writhing sloth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorna, for keeping us adventurous in genre, too. That was a beautiful reading and keeping us, hearing different things in different forms. That again was Lorna Rose leading us off tonight. Lorna, you can find on Twitter at Lorna A. Rose, LornaARose, and on Instagram at Lorna Rose Writes, LornaRosewrites. And check out Lorna's website, lornarose.com, for more information about her work, both poetry and creative nonfiction. So we have hit the ground running, and I am so excited to introduce our second reader, who is also the co-founder of Performance Anxiety, and that is Kristin Garth. Kristin is, needs no introduction on the one hand, but on the other hand is a Pushcart Ristling nominated sonneteer and a Best of the Net 2020 finalist. Her sonnets have stocked journals like Glass, Yes, 521, Luna Luna, and way more. She's the author of, count 'em, 23 books of poetry, including Candy Cigarette Woman Child Noir from Hedgehog Poetry Press and Atheist Barbie from Maverick Duck Press. She's the founder of Pink Plastic House, a tiny journal, and co-founder of this very online poetry reading series, Performance Anxiety. So thank you, as always, Kristin, for being here with us. And I heard that we are going to get a very special sonnet thing coming our way pretty soon.
Thanks. First, I was going to read one sonnet from my book, Crow Carriage, that is coming out very soon from Sweet Tooth Storybooks. My friend Amy Alexander's press that she made, and she did all the illustrations for this book, and it's just coming out just in time for Halloween, and it's my horror novel, so it's very exciting. And every chapter of the novel begins with a sonnet. right at the beginning, and then, the chapter kind of, expounds on what the story is. But I'm going to just read you one sonnet from that, and it's called These We Keep. This is where we close our eyes and listen to lewd lullabies, collected in a desiccating book, illegible when we chance a look. Midnight just yesterday, crow carriage takes 2 more away, velvet ribbon and the one who prayed, or schemed while we would muffle screams. Those who forgot their place inside the indelicate dreams, mandated with a glass of milk. Some run from lions, bare feet beat silk, shrieking when the nightmare ends, into the palm of one of the remaining friends. This church wherein we wake requires its congregation creep, for there are devils worse than these we keep. And the next one I'm going to read is, I'm going to read 2 that are real life, kind of more, I would, well, the first one is, it's a longer poem. I've only written a couple of sonnet crowns, and this is one of them, and it's about Monica Lewinsky, but it's also about me stripping during the impeachment time, where a strip club I worked, they made us do a cigar roll call, which was where all the girls had to go on stage with a cigar, and men would pull you down to do a table dance for them. Where I lived, they couldn't touch you, but it was just the idea of kind of making fun of Monica Lewinsky. I'll just go into the poem now, but you kind of set the scene there. But sometimes a cigar is not just for Monica Lewinsky. Inside a Florida strip club, 98, you can still smoke the cigars they stock. So management decides to create a roll call, ripped from the headlines, that mocks a 22-year-old girl, median age of the ones who twirl before tourists, titans of this tiny town. Cigar in hand, circle around, until we're picked for a tryst, topless, then helped to the ground, to emulate a power disparity that makes men feel presidential while we gyrate, though the regulations of Puritans always frustrate. You can only demean, never penetrate our skin or the sheen of glittery sweat. We are all interns, lest we forget. And what is still a male carousel where we consent here to turn? Ribbon ponies they harness, not for sale, rented thighs burn, mimicking rides, hundreds who never even touch. Runaways, accruing crop marks, existential dreads, those slut-shaming games forever played out in woman-childish suburban heads. Compete now with a voice louder than them. The young outlive the withering dead. It is the risk of maligning younger women who forego berets, bitter days you reigned. We have the last word about all of the pain you abandoned us to, the joke you allowed us to be, for we all made mistakes like these in our 20s. My own spent dancing for crowds of married men who won us on our knees. Sometimes I would submit to the least worthy of these. There was no presidential seal made surreal by the indignities they imposed. Cigar cellophane peeled while I took off my clothes, made it as lewd as details disclosed by Kenneth Starr, Matt Judge. Was I just passive, or did I collude in these cigar strip club role plays that condemned her and ourselves in fraught dated thoughts? Sometimes a cigar is just not. Thanks. And I'm going to read one more. I was going to read one more because today I just had this one come out in Feral Dove magazine, and I wrote it about, I'm doing a little collection of poems about bad things that happened in national forests or national parks. And of course, like right around in this time, this is about Gabby Petito, but I've done a bunch about different people. But when I just submitted this one yesterday, and then they went ahead and they published it today. So it's called Van Life. The police will leave you with the van because of a 911 call. somebody misspeaks or someone misunderstands. This mistake makes you the guilty party they could put in jail, in a state you don't know, a man you did not assail. A nation will watch you hyperventilate on body cam video of cops who fail to extricate a woman about to disappear. Instagram is not impressed with fear, just filtered secrets against blue skies, because pictures make the prettiest lies of girls who once would not go outside and boyfriends who take them there to die. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristin, for that beautiful sequence and for getting us into poetry land pretty firmly ensconced. That again was Kristin Garth, both poet extraordinaire and co-organizer of Performance Anxiety. So whether you want to follow Kristin's work or get in touch about performance anxiety related stuff, you can find Kristin on Twitter at Lola and Jolie. LOLAANDJOLIE, and you can find her website because it's there's always something awesome going on with Kristin's stuff. There's so many things, so many books, so many projects, all those anthologies that she's been editing as well, which have been amazing too. You can find all of that at Kristin Garth, KristinGarth.com. So entering the third sort of readership experience of the evening, I'm really excited to welcome one of our performance anxiety, deeply experienced readers, somebody whose work I love and who we're always happy to have back, and that's Sara Matson. Sara Matson's poetry can be found in Bone Bouquet, Daily Drunk, The Journal, Petra, and elsewhere. Sara's chapbook, Electric Grandma, is available from Another New Calligraphy, a small press I love, which I think is in Chicago, along with Sara, because Sara lives in Chicago with her rad husband and 3 cats. She tweets as at Skeletor Writes, SKELETORWRITES. So Sara, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I can't wait to hear what you're going to share, maybe even something from some new stuff that I heard about.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me back, Tom and Kristin. I really appreciate it. It is such a pleasure to read with everyone, and I always come away from these readings with such an incredible sense of inspiration. So I really appreciate it, everyone. Thank you. I'm going to start tonight with a brand spanking new poem, so hope it doesn't suck. So here we go. My first poem tonight is called Aesthetic. Like Jerry O'Connell's twin, I slide through space and time. Soviet days become standout nights, looking like I do. What stars fuck behind this ethane lake? Show me boiled ecstasy. Bottle every moon and deliver it with an amorphous glass rimmed in gold or any metal that can't go in the microwave. Tiny notebooks smell my savory fingers exploring, each dwelling significant. Contamination, germophobia, wasted liquor license, my autoimmune is like a hollow cheese rolled in almond slivers, spinning sand into snack, but like way itchier. Dilute the bed stains, pause to snatch everblooms from sleeping caw mouths. My devil caught me between admissions. Complacency like guilt is suspicious. Thunderbolt gutter reminds me to retain the fear sickness in my body with a certain joy. It's mine to be controlled, so why shouldn't I just jump off the roof? Pink umbrella helping any way it can. And my next poem tonight is part of a larger piece that's in a new poetry collection called Personal Fashion. And I'm super excited to say that Personal Fashion recently got picked up, so it's going to be published by Swallowtail Press early next year. So it's really exciting. And this is a little excerpt from the couture section. Hammered satin underthings, luxury outerwear. My edges soaked in the artificial whisper of stagehands and mystery shoppers. Smashed into the face of a laughing baby, a staggering premonition. I later press my spoon into old cake, envious of the ability to detach my retina at will. Mirror image leggings strapped to my stirriffed calf, tossing fistfuls of linguine at the hand-painted artery, clutching my palm like a sacred fruit. Geometrically shaped bowling alley haircut molded to my head like a summer music festival. Elegant lack profound beneath negotiated island dresses. My heritage waist trembles at the sight. Dry mouth, I told my mother I could time travel, but only to places she wouldn't want me to be. Tossing crispy pigtailed books into the fire, I wonder about elegant acts, like air conditioning, fresh cut pineapple, matching hoodies, but you can just call it love. Velociraptor noises, explosions, staff friendships, warm cookies mean a face lick, prompt and focus, blood under the nail, hair crisp under the dryer, deficiencies spun like silk across shoulders, exposed bones, rusty elevator soaking cotton to the wick, textured puffs bitten at every corner, bad jewelry stuck to the mirror. Secrets are best when left to the heat of a mid-morning shower, light pushing through an extruder. My wet body crushing thoughts between leather or wood, stiff from decades of misuse, altered to fit. Silk slip into the inflamed tectonic plates. You laughed when I insinuated the best fashion is always slightly fascist in cut. Dead man singing in my back pocket, I scroll past chubby youth and original noses, dip myself into the fever pink, all very technical, I'm assured. Art act of gluing artificial wisps, shoving the sound of human hearts through thin strips of electrical tubing. Very obtuse, very coming of age. Heartbroken in a faux fur coat, what more can possibly be said? Save the trees, the physical earth, moonlight, gravity bongs, designer handbags, etc., 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 but the savings. Breasts gently cupped by over-processed cotton wires, tie-dyed stoner mess poking past psychobilly retirement plans. My good creepers are still in rotation, weddings, funerals. Femming around satin dresses designed to seduce my husband, I didn't know dark eyeshadow worn on the outer corner makes all the difference. Windmilling my arms with music video feelings, the deepest VHS sadness. Plugging loss with new words, like being happy for an old lover. This makes me a good person automatically. Tide pool lapped by a beautiful dog, wet in kisses and kindness. It's all grief, all of it. Thank you very much. I am Sara Matson.
Wow, thank you, Sara, for showing our readers that there ain't no list like a Sara Matson list. That was Sara Matson, performance anxiety returner extraordinaire and author of, you heard it here, folks, Personal Fashion, coming from Swallowtail Press very soon. It will also, I'm excited to say, and this is so that I will do it on time, the first book I will ever blurb in my whole life. So I'm so excited to do that, and it's going to be amazing, and we all deserve to read it. So we all should buy it when it happens. And again, if you want to follow Sara's work and also like the pre-orders and stuff for Personal Fashion, you can find Sara at Skeletor Writes on Twitter, SKELETORWRITES. Whew. Yeah, what an apex, etc. feeling, and shockingly and unusually for us, we're actually already entering into the back half of our reading order, but I could not be more excited with whom we are doing that, and that is Jason B. Crawford, our next reader. Jason B. Crawford, they, them pronouns, was born in Washington, D.C., raised in Lansing, Michigan. Their debut full-length Year of the Unicorn Kids will be out in 2022 from Sundress Publications. Jason, thank you so much for being with us. I'm so excited to hear your poems for the first time in a while. Take it away.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you to everyone that is here. Thank you to Kristin. I love being in this space. It's one of my favorite spaces. So yeah, I'm really bad about reading from my books that are my books, because I write new poems. I don't want to read those instead. But for Tom, I'm going to read a twerkable moment poem for sure. I promise. But I'm gonna read some new stuff first, um, because uh, I hate America, so I wanna leave. So anyway, um, when I finally leave New York, I'm going to burn everything that reminds me of you. This isn't about flooding grief over stolen land. I am an adult. I have learned how to let go of sand that sharpens into glass from my own stubborn heat. No cliche Phoenix references to wash under. It's just about the fire. Its hot, white glow. I sit in. How easy I could find another you in a city of yous toppling each other to get to me. It's not that I'm done with love, just with loving others more than myself. What sin? I pack my throat with this leaving. Why not taste the salt in the flame instead? Make something of all this rain. See how much of it can burn until it finally kills itself for me too. Um yeah, so I have this book. It's called Twerkable Moments. It's cute or whatever. So yeah, let's read two little poems out of it because why not? So the two poems I'm going to read, Taylor, who's on this call, knows that this is how this always goes. I don't know what I'm reading until I get here. I picked these poems literally as Sarah was reading. And we're still not done. Let's see. You go to your fourth formal of the year and they play You're a Jerk for Brooke and Malcolm. And everyone swivels their head at you, the loudest champagne flute in the ballroom. This is just like that time you went to the AZD formal and you mutated into Magic Mike when Pony came on and gave all the comfortable boys a lap dance. Or how you, Malcolm, and Derek breakdance battled in the middle of the parties to no hands in the old Annex house off at Ballard. Or how you and Brooke would hip roll into each other like boiling water to body party at any Signu function. You always melted into the music. Like when you were 17 and your high school had that weird free day and everyone crowded into Mr. Penny's classroom to play You Got It Bad and grind on each other like our parents before us, and everyone looks at you, the principal's child, wondering if your hips knew the crashing thunder, and they do. As seamless as a cupboard of glass falling into a fresh washed floor. You show them you can dance. You show them all. And perfect. I'm actually going to read the last one here too. Um, the Seismic Gospel. And then God said, "Let there be twerk." The cornet starts to whistle a yin yang tune, and bodies built of the moon fill the night with enough prayer to pull the bones of my ancestors from the dirt and let them start an electric slide. See, God, they knew Africa will be built out of base. A small piece of him that we could postcard our thighs and carry a pigeon down to our kin. What a blessing we have to tell so many stories with our asses. Our rhythm be the plot to every chapter God wrote. For us, it didn't take 7 days for God to give us this quake. We, children of the soil, we are made seismic and ever breaking, ever holy, begets this dance. Cool. I'm gonna read a really, really, really new poem. And then I'm gonna read one other poem, and then I'll leave. I'll be done. Why not? But yeah, let's do that. So this is a new poem. It's after George Abram, and again, it's because I hate this world. So when we finally get there, 1, should we start by crafting a map? I must be honest, I do not know where in the galaxy there is. I do not have the lineage of the soil, no clear placement of meteors, where we have been or where we are yet to have made it safe. Traversing the long Atlantic of the stars can be so tiring when done correctly. I know there are planets unnamed by bad hands, ones too far to spit at the crescent smile of our new shoes. I know my loves are willing to travel the space in search of them. Not sure the shape of the rock we will call home, but I know it will be beautiful and rich with brimming dirt. Finally, we can count all that is ours. 2, what part of inventory will be colonized? What parts of the land can we say we own? What we found, what we remember most in travel was a piece of rotting fruit clung to the most beautiful cherry tree. You cannot even imagine the hydrangeas licking at the stem of its roots, the raspberries climbing the trunks of our legs in preparation of their own exploration. 3, we will not call any of our findings ours, just brother, sister, mother, friend, bush of knowing I refuse to steal from, a stone, swallowing a stone, swallowing a stone, endless, forever, planet-sized gobstopper, floating in between nowhere, and we are too far gone here. Everything could be different if we just stop believing in gravity. If the ashes of all borders were tucked beneath the carpet, if we forgot the language of taking, if we hadn't the ability to travel here first, if we just beat them to it. Yeah, I'm gonna read one more poem, and I think it's best to kind of end where we started. So yeah, the first poem has a bleeding title that is, I wrote multiple poems with the same title. So when we finally leave New York, I'm going to burn everything. And if it were just to be that simple spark, a match between the twig of my 2 fingers, watch the purple flame spread up my elbow, caress the shoulder's fat, bite softly at the crown of my neck, the smoke choking me out like only a good love would. By everything, I mean to include myself to this pyre of small disasters, the thin grease of want, stoking the white heat. I'm learning how to burn a house down from the inside. Let's take it from there, from the top, the reincarnation of my blood pooling in another man's mouth. What we mistake for lust is often a form of violence, an action. I've seen what fire can devastate in one's capable hands. I've stopped questioning where I belong, just how long before something with more gasoline comes to fizzle me out. Maybe this is the only true way to leave. Find a new land. I want to know what is different there. Boys of inflammable carbon limbs. Boys of the rising heat's dark, cold kiss. Boys pulled from the gut of the flames, still drenched from its wet and smoking tongue. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Jason. The chat, I'm just quoting Taylor, this emotional journey, and it was quite that and more. That again was Jason B. Crawford, who you can find on the socials at Jason B. Crawford, JasonBCrawford. And please take a look at Jason's work. Their work is amazing, and their full-length debut, Year of the Unicorn Kids, will be out in 2022 from Sundress Publications. We're all so excited for it. It's going to be amazing. And follow all of that on the socials and also at www.jasonbcrawford.com. Wow. It's always a little sad to be moving into our final two readers of the evening, but that sadness is torqued in this case by the very deep and sincere excitement I have to introduce to you our next reader, who I believe is sharing her poems for the first time out loud in a space like this. So I cannot express to you how amazing it is to be in that position, to get to sort of have a small role in these poems being heard by more people. And Niesha Trout is about to do that, and she's about to blow us away. Niesha Trout is a visual and conceptual artist and poet living in Los Angeles. She's currently working on her first chapbook, which I've gotten to read a little bit of, and what I've read has been just amazing. It's going to be titled One Sun is Plenty. And Niesha, thank you so much for being with us and for reading some poems tonight. I can't wait to hear them.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I've never done this before, and I feel, of course, anxiety about it because I've read in front of friends before, but I don't feel like I have I feel that when other people read my work, it sounds better. So I'm gonna do my best. But thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored, and I've really enjoyed all of you, and this has been just like so beautiful. So thank you. I have a lot of stuff to read, but I'm just gonna kind of wing it because I know we don't have like all the time, so I just read a couple things. This poem is called Visions of Physics. There were times in my life I thought he would kill me. And one day, like the recess brutes of elementary school, it was something I couldn't unknow. I knew he'd kill himself first. When he was in those primal scraps of bludgeoned heat, I felt relief with this prophecy, alone in my room, willing the air to take him and just lay his ass flat as a stingray. But this was different than when he'd ask for my permission to take his life. When I was 11, once he asked, and again when I was 18, on the phone, my free hand shaking in performance for me as I hovered correctly above my body. Then there was no relief, just a Mack truck full of steel pipe aimed for us, its lights on me, in spiral pointed fumes. I was carrying him as the truck barreled down. I was holding him in my long pink arms. Of course I was. Who else is going to try with a man like that? Because it was just me and him. I was maybe 120, 5'8" then. He was built like a high school wrestler, a swimmer, or a sturgeon, so exquisitely focused. He'd always eat standing in the kitchen, 3 a.m., eyes closed. He never exercised like other dads in those arranged, sporty ways. Some tennis here and there, but always a bit of a Rodin with so much fury, parting a deaf, relentless sea. He loved me, and I know this. He had a stern way of loving and a drop-dead sense of science. I'd watch him reading Stephen Hawking, and he'd ask me if I'd heard of black holes. He knew like I knew. One day he would defy all logic, or matter in space on continuums. He'd take that question all the way to its inception. He was going to do it, and you simply can't deny certain men answers. They're going to find out what happens when nothing moves fast enough, so you invent your own laws for time. And now the truck is flying. It's flying right at us, and my Marlboro man is slipping from my slow motion hands in the widening gyre. The thing I always seemed to forget was the heaviness. So let me get some other ones here. Sorry, I don't know. Sorry. So should I read like just a couple more? I'll just read a couple more, I guess. Okay. This one is called It's So Simple. I am holding out a sock filled with pallid mud, and I swing it like a lasso overhead as a battle cry or an unforeseen soft method. And now that I have her attention, I want my mother to comfort me in times of unsteadiness and blazing days or balmy breezes. She should take me, the mud sock, an infirm gob in her arms, and cradle it. No distractions, no desires. I am taken as a lump, very preciously, as someone who could suddenly perish just being held wrong. Then for the whole world to gather at my cottony crib to say, she will be okay, God damn it, we will protect her. And suddenly, like two halves of the same body molding the earth's brown blood between them, I am another chance. Let's see. Sorry, 1 second. Oops, I lost some of my poems. Okay. No. No. Sorry. This one's called Beginnings and Endings. Okay. Sorry, I'm like an extremely neurotic person. I'm sure we all are. Okay. Beginnings and endings. Sorry. It's a good day to pace the yard from end to carpeted end and command the soil to split. After that, let yourself fall right into the world's most nonchalant nap. The ground won't even grip you on the way down, not with this kind of velocity. The deceased, like frayed brochures, wave as you swish past them by the almond metallic earth levels. White worms and opalescent stems squeeze out like toothpaste in the periphery. All is finally at its most gruesome and true. There must be something more important than a reunion or a conversation with the man who accidentally cracked your heart like a deer bone on a windshield. There must be something more important than flying. Let's see. Maybe I should stop. I'm new and I'm really so grateful. And if there's more time, I have other poems, but I don't want to take up the time. So
I was wondering if you would, not to put you in a corner or anything, but I was wondering if you'd read Coin of Mercy. I love that poem.
Okay, yeah, sure. Oh, okay. 1 sec. Let me get it. It's not on my thing. This is my
And for the
poem.
record, the chat's blowing up with do more poems. So do you whatever way you want to do it.
Nice. Okay. This is my poem about my I think I'm, when you have, as all of us know, just you're gripped with kind of the abyss of so much of your own personal trauma that's stacked against all of the world's trauma, and you just feel very desperate for something to grab you inside and kind of save you, to just sort of you get to these very desperate places that feel very, very personal and private and very kind of isolated, but they're like very pure. Whatever. This is what I wrote. Like what? Okay. This is called Coin of Mercy. Nothing makes sense until you're in the new muscle of yourself. After the emergency of change has taken over and lifted you from one way of being to another, your friends long gone, no one left to blame, your mind licked to grain. You tend to a moss uprising toward your thoughts, trimming it back, a ship of the id capsized, text left unread, texts or buildings on fire, a favorite person, a memory vein, a tremor loosed like spirit flu. You beg God, a lunar magi with carved eyes. May I have the new pattern of my life? Will you help me restore my vision if I empty the task of myself? If I stop the hatchet of my mouth to let love in? If I free the hostage of my brain and I apologize? Is grace the frayed rope to you going on forever and ever? That's all I'm going to read tonight because I feel very overwhelmed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Niesha, and thank you for
Thank you
taking
so much.
requests, which is like, it was very kind of you to roll with that. And that, as the chat is blowing up again, that was Niesha Trout, who,
Thank you.
yeah, we were just so thrilled to hear that. And I'm glad everybody got to hear that. It's one of my favorites of your poems. And again, Niesha is working on a chapbook called One Sun is Plenty that's going to knock us all over when it comes out. And Niesha, you can follow on the socials if you want to keep track of the things she's working on, because she's not only working on the first chapbook called One Sun is Plenty, she's also working on a conceptual art book about ephemera and synchronicities called Eternally Yours. So keep an eye out for all of that. And you can find Niesha on Twitter at Niesha Trout, which is NIESHATROUT, and on Instagram at Niesha_Trout_studio for art, and also Joe_Pesci_in_Paris, more for writing stuff. So Joe Pesci in Paris.
Thank you.
Again, that is so cool. It's so awesome to hear you. Thank you, Niesha, for sharing those poems. And again, it's always this weird sadness to get to our last reader of the evening, but our last reader of the evening is someone whose work I love in the capacity not only as reader and poet and writer, but also as editor-in-chief of really serious literature, and that is Barracuda Guarisco. And Barracuda is the author of several books, including Uncomfortable Music from Vegetarian Alcoholic Press, Scandi from Feral Dove Books, co-written with Kurt, and Narwhal Red Dolphin from Really Serious Literature. He lives in Seattle, Washington. So thank you, Barracuda, for taking us home tonight. I could think of no better person to do it. We're so excited to have you and so thrilled to hear what you're going to share.
Jesus, that was very humbling. My God, I was not expecting that. Thank you for the introduction. Jesus, now I feel... Okay, well, sorry for the cackles. But no, yeah, but thank you. No, I feel, honestly, I feel strange to be the closer. You're all far better than I feel I am. I'm more of a jigsaw jokester, in my opinion. Very honored, however, to be invited by you, Tom, and Kristin. This has been a fantastic reading. One of, as I stated in the chat, one of my most favorite recent readings. I felt this was just like spot on, like everyone, like just complimenting each other, just one after the other. It was fantastic. Great curation. Thank you for including me. I feel very honored. Okay, so I'll read what I have up until I either feel you're done with me or I'm done with myself. Prepare for like an 8-minute reading, but I have noticed that people have kind of gone a little shorter, so I don't want to be the guy at the end who keeps you waiting. I do apologize for my lack of camera time in the beginning. I was taking the edge off. I'm lucky and fortunate enough to have a Polish bar across the street where I was getting some gin and tonics. I don't normally drink cocktails. I'm more of a shot of tequila and a beer man myself, but today I decided cocktails. All right. And I'm not drunk. I'm just fucking freaking out. Joking, I'm not freaking out. So this is not a tribute to Norm Macdonald. He was very problematic comedian, but I did appreciate some of the elements of meta that he incorporated with his comedy. So this is kind of like a dig and also kind of like a nod. This is Endive Salad. Can you all hear me all right? Awesome. Norm Macdonald. Great guy, Norm Macdonald. Did I ever tell you about the great, great Norm Macdonald? Funny man, Norm Macdonald. Oh, you would have loved it. Norm Macdonald. Funny, funny man, that Norm Macdonald. You know that joke of his, that funny one he tells? No, not the one resurrecting the moth. God, man, no, not that one. The one where he goes on and on and on and down convoluted avenues. No, not the youthful porpoise. You know, where the point is the pointlessness, the fact that you've been had to hope for something magnificent, poignant punch, like you are Jesse Plemons driving up a wall on which paint is drying or the news is going on about something you think you're supposed to be interested in but know absolutely nothing about, a person gone missing. Bits of their life trickle in, and then you suddenly miss them too. They're all you can think about. I don't know, the joke. He mumbles something about, I don't know, endive salad. Oh, the hearts. Here's the hearts. Thank you. Yeah, doing these remote readings for so long, it's still kind of weird, you know, like waiting, like even though I tell the audience always sigh after every piece, it's still like there's still like you're wanting to hear like a sound of some kind. But no, thank you for the hearts. This is so that's a new piece that I wrote, obviously. The next piece is from an upcoming collection, Scandi, that is coming out through Feral Dove, which I did not know that today. Kristin is now we're little press buddies. That's cool. That's awesome. And this is it's a micro chapbook dedicated to the Scanners franchise. Can you hear that beeping sound? Can you hear it? Do you think it'll work? Oh, it's over. Okay. All right. So this is go back in time with your ears only. I'm going to shut that, actually. I'll be right back. Speaking of ears.
I like the idea that you could perform to a incidental metronome if you ever needed to. There's a flexibility there. You could improvise on the metronome, but now you're good. Now you've got it. We can hear you clear and loud.
Okay, so this is go back in time with your ears only. Access the past by scanning the thumbprint of its cobwebs. Dead insects in the light fixtures blot you with shadow play, acting out yesterday. You listen for yesterday. You can hear yesterday buzzing, acting out. Its footfall, bickering. You can hear the past of where you're standing, what the walls have been begging to tell you about the rank and rancid discarded popcorn shrimp eyeballing you from behind the fridge, moist with the desire of deliverance. Scan the popcorn shrimp, the history of its lodgings, crammed in a paper basket, then choking the previous tenant prior to an abdominal thrust maneuver, practiced by a fling they'd later marry and torment with their dumbass toddler accidents, shooting out into the air, soggy from the throat hole, ricocheting off countertop to disappear into a wedge of an hairy, unseen location, all that buzz for an unremarkable morsel you shouldn't eat. But what of the past can you access from its taste? How will it embed itself in your olfactory memory bank? This next piece is I wouldn't say it warrants like a content warning, but I feel like anything having to do with Army Hammer, needs to in some capacity. So if you're familiar with Army Hammer and that bullshit, content warning for cannibalism. This is titled Dirty Laundry. I'll carry 2 baskets of dirty clothes to our rickety gated elevator, take it down to the basement, and upon entry of the laundry room, hiss at my incontinence. No, incompetence. I'm always forgetting the detergent. We haven't bought any for months. Every load is done with the unwitting help of our neighbors, and the supply of Arm & Hammer plus OxyClean, clearly not marked for community use, as they continue to mark their unit numbers on the handles with each new purchase, which does not deter us in the slightest. I don't do this on purpose. I promise we're not those kind of neighbors. We're just lazy and forgetful. No one else is in there. No one can see me, and there's not a sign with a rule in bold telling me not to use the detergent. There's no one to nag my conscience except for myself, and my goodness is inconsistent. I look over my shoulders and listen for footsteps in the hallway or the jolt of the elevator. No one can see me, and no one is coming. I'll play a couple confrontational scenarios in my head. Sure, it sounds ridiculous, but you never know. People are fucking crazy. Somebody could fucking kill me over this. I think about this while I swipe my card to overdraw my account and pay for these 2 loads to wash, looking at the container of Arm and Hammer, which made me think of Army Hammer, whose great-grandfather was Armand Hammer, who subsequently was born after Arm and Hammer was founded. And I was thinking how he's an alleged cannibal who threatens to cut off the body parts of women and carry them in his pockets, and speaks of once sucking the blood from a still warm heart. Army Hammer isn't my neighbor, but fuck, what if he was? There's that. The hearts. The clapping emojis. Oh, I love the little clapping. Those things are ridiculous with the little white gloves on. What was that? I love that. All right, so I'll continue, and then I'll check in with you after the next 2 pieces, and if you guys want me to continue, then we go. So this is more cubic inches. In a box with no lid, grits the chipped teeth of a hamster, bone tired of its wheel. The box jumps, balances on a vertex, poised and exact with its next move like a sharpened pencil tapping the concrete page. Let me out of here. I'll do my very best to make sense of you. We can start at the heel and not apply so much of your pressure. We can make sense of each other through heavy petting if we just stop there. It's not amateur hour on the ethical non-monogamy front, cringing at the mutual desperation, friends, the exoskeletal and sun-dried prosthetics. Why can't you all be my neighbor? Water my plants, the fires I've started. You might find a use for them. I wrote this while being fucked up on edibles. That's why it's titled 2 Edibles and a Microphone. Yeah. I'm not on edibles right now. Just gin and excitement. So this is 2 edibles and a microphone. Well going are things when I'm blast lifted by a landing sphere, a spike form ring of white wind, eyes on the mayhaps of misstep. I may have missed a step or skipped the class where they told you it's only legitimate if you've ziplocked to your melt like it's Bloody Mary spaghetti sauce and scotch taped it to a floppy disk and shipped it to boss level monsters who then fossilize your license. They stamp it so big it diminishes chance encounters with a sonder. You've expanded enough, gone and grown a summit, welcoming the sad surprises, those limitations no one would even know. You'd never get to be one of the chipmunks, let alone canonical fodder. Validation like validated parking, like doesn't happen the way I think it happens. It's mostly just about like, am I stupid? All right. Are you good with a couple more, or should we end it? Keep going. Is that what that is? Like drive, keep driving. Is that? Okay.
You're the driver now.
Thank you. You guys are making me feel good about myself. Thank you. This is Arm the Clocks. Valkyries carry pounds of scratched verb back to the cinema. The self-proclaimed Einherjar reclines, chewing on a sugar straw, a red vine struck into a cup of black ocean. Aspartame and eyes shimmer excited again like leeches in a kidney dish. Winged hands shadow a shape over a truffle hog, dark on dark, and from then on it's treble and tremolo, sweeping the real under the unreal, a transgressive artistic bloodletting, a psychic Ayurveda. You thought your humor hit a wall, stained with impact. The shape of its jellyfish is not a ghost, nothing special unless you make it such. Some things you still don't quite know how to stuff. The jellyfish is not a ghost. A smile spattered with knuckled proofread. You're alive, letting go of erasure, looks the way to feel. That's about the movie Pig with Nicolas Cage. That's all I got for you. So I've got 3 more. They're all pretty short. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. You're just like, just keep going. Okay. Thank you. This is All Dugongs Go to Heaven. Dugongs. Burn it down, child. Yeah, that kind of dugong, like the meme. Yeah, all dugongs go to heaven. I'm sick of myself. We don't have to debate the direction of the tide. Write a think piece so our mouthpiece may assume credentialed authority on the subject of every counterclockwise coiling prawn. You can just bite its head off and call it a day like your favorite shark. If only these turtles could talk. What is it you'd expect they'd tell you that they haven't already tried? We don't get a lot of things to care about. But that doesn't mean we have to implement sensation diodes. It goes to the same economy either way. Another Pig reference. You know, if you've seen the movie, we don't get a lot of things to care about. And this next one is me kind of, it's titled All the Red Flags in the World and You Chose to Show Me This One. It's about, you know, the toxic Twitter culture, not so much about just like the problematic people, but the people that end up kind of becoming your friends. And you know, then you're like, oh, maybe you could be problematic. You could be bad. Just waiting. You can edit this part out. But no, this is really just about fucking problematic people. This is All the Red Flags in the World, and You Chose to Show Me This One. Also, if you like Rancid, you'll get the musicality of it. Clown coat, clown shoes, clown hat, clown Cadillac, yeah. The boy's a clown bomb. Pulling red flags out of eye sockets. The red flags are tied to the backs of ping pong eyes. Red flags stick to Q-tips. Red flags gag. Ascot tongue. Red materializes. Red dusted Beetlejuice. He sneezes flags. Cries blood like a badass. He arrives. Red flags. Yeah, the boy's a clown bomb. Clown shoes, motherfuckers. Yeah. And this says, I love that little fucking white glove little guy. It just, yeah, a kick out of it. And this last piece is kind of an appreciation to the growth of director Quentin Dupuis. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He if you've seen the movie Rubber or any of his movies, he's gotten so much better over the years, and so this is kind of how he's gotten better, but maybe he doesn't, you know, he's just doing his thing. And it sounds like I'm talking about condoms. It's deerskin is better than rubber. Deerskin is better than rubber, but we wouldn't have deerskin without rubber. My brain is beyond me, caught on a dare with a consequence of meaning, an innuendo fit by tidal coincidence. He probably doesn't think deerskin is better than rubber. The work just changes you, fits you into a condominium, belonging to the side, not the forefront of anything genius just yet, though I can say absolutely deerskin is better than rubber. And I'm done. Thanks for putting up with me. Love ya.
Thank you so much for bringing us full circle from moose burger to deerskin. I feel like PETA is going to be breathing down performance anxiety's throat in a minute. But that, again, was Barracuda Guarisco taking us home. Again, the editor-in-chief of Really Serious Literature and findable at Barracuda Core, BARRACUDACORE, and also at Really Serious Lit, RLYSRSLIT, for both Twitter and Instagram. And check out what Really Serious Lit is doing at Really Serious Lit, RLYSRSLit.bigcartel.com. And again, thank you so much for bringing it home and for giving Pig its due on the poetic stage. So yeah, it's like when we get to the end, it's always got the tristesse a bit. But I want to end just by thanking you all so much, our readers for sharing their beautiful work with us this evening, listeners for giving this hour plus of their lives over to poetry, listeners live with us now and watching on YouTube. And I hope if you're listening and you have a sheaf of new poems, new shit close at hand, you might consider dropping us a line at Performance Anxiety on Twitter, Performance ANXT, or you can email me or DM me, tomsnarski@gmail.com, or Tom Snarski on the socials. We would love to have you. Our next reading is going to be October 21st, and we're just always excited to hear new voices, returning voices. It's always a great joy. And so we're getting towards the end, but I always do try to end Performance Anxiety with a poem wherever possible, usually one by somebody I love dearly. And I've been living in Laura Jensen land. This is probably not showing up on the camera, but this is Laura Jensen's last book, in the sense of like the last one to come out, but she's still doing her thing, and it came out in 1985, I believe. So she still has a blog where she blogs from, I believe, the library. So she hasn't been blogging for the last couple of years because COVID happened, but she has been blogging away at spicedormouse.blogspot.com. And the fact that this book dropped in 1985 fucks me up a little bit. So this last poem that we're going to end on is the title poem of this book, which is called Shelter. I had bread rising in a warm oven. I dusted what was left of the flour off of and into my jeans and went downstairs and opened the door for mail. I found a woodpecker dead on the threshold, a hawthorn berry beside it. I brought a box of white plastic packing chips down and petted it on the feathers, then picked it up in my hand, the feathers warm, the body light and cold. It fit exactly into the hollow I had made for it, the hawthorn berry beside it. I left it on the kitchen table. I thought of it looking for shelter, coming only into the porch to a nest at the corner the door made where it met the jamb, the whole of it carved with leaves and varnished in the summer when the landlord repainted, or flying into the shapes of blowing trees in the door window. And I thought of 3 tame trees where I walk that had brushed my head and filled it with dreams that fell in the summer to be cut for firewood. I found a broken shovel that sits at the side of the house and buried it bare in a break in the clouds, beside the house, under the hawthorn berry beside it. As I walked back to the stairs, the box fell open, and chips shaped like S's and E's flurried out on the wind like flakes of snow. And I took the bread out of the oven, baked now, an oatmeal loaf.